And the Chiefs respond with the big hits of their own.
Now,
Good Chiefs support at the stadium today.
let's go! News, views, and behind-the-scenes chats from Sandy Park. This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast with Ryno and Bentos.
Podcast number 3. Welcome to the studio, Bentos.
Good evening, Ryno.
And tonight we have a guest. We're very, very pleased to welcome a flanker.
Good-looking flanker.
A good-looking flanker. An Australian
From the
good-looking
Antipodes.
flanker.
He's just embraced the fact that his hair is probably not as bushy and prevalent as it once was.
It was back in the day, but I've conceded it now. I've bit the bullet and shaved my head. And
People wouldn't have noticed this
well,
because
looking sharp. They call me Jason Statham now, so it's
Wow.
quite good.
That's a good spin. I'll go with that, actually.
Yeah.
Come on, then.
Well, we welcome Julian Salvi.
Hello, Mr. Salvi. How are we doing? There you go. We'll build the studio audience up, won't we, over time?
Yeah, well, there's hundreds and thousands of people here. So let's get straight into it. Let's start with looking at the weekend. And we're all in the stadium to watch that. What was the feeling from the playing camp, Julian, of doing Bath at home a year on
I like that.
from the first time?
We did him.
Well, look, it was a fantastic result, wasn't it? It's one of those sort of tussles that you look forward to, a local derby in all its right. I suppose from hearing from Rob and all the rest, it's always been one where those tight battles have gone sort of Bath's way. So to finally, I suppose, not finally, but to get that victory is massive in the scheme of things and the season.
On the last podcast, me and you, Bentos, talked about a little bit about Bath. Obviously, we're not in the camp or very close to it, but talking about what's wrong there. There's still clearly some issues in the way that they're gelling together and playing.
Mm-hmm. There is something wrong at Bath. Obviously, they've got a world-class team, but the body language, the demeanour. I've seen the stats. We were about 70% possession through that game. And you could see one team that was really battling and fighting tooth and nail for one another, and one team where it seemed like they were almost expecting it not to work for them, and they got a bit lucky either side of the half, which made a bit of a game of it. But there was never a doubt in my mind about that game. We were going to win.
It did seem from the off, the way that Chiefs went for it, they were there to take it, and Bath were almost kind of willing to let that happen. Which is fine.
Well, I mean, what was the preamble with you guys? I spoke with Slady and Lockie. He's my mate.
Lockie, mate.
Lockie's
Another
my
Aussie
mate.
mate.
Yeah, he's my mate now.
Yeah.
Bentos has got a new friend.
That's Lachlan Turner, the new signing. A few caps for Australia. I call him Lockie. We're just like that. He calls me Bentos.
Is he in your mobile as Lockie?
He's on me. Well, I'm working on getting him.
He's got a nice tan.
He has got a nice tan.
It's going to go very quickly.
Yeah, well, he was bemoaning the fact that it was 25 degrees back at home, and then it was his joke at midnight, mate.
Midnight, yeah.
So he's a bit taken aback by the weather. But we were discussing how the team talk had gone in the week, and how Rob hadn't sort of played allusions to the fact that this is Bath, they normally beat us, and he hadn't said this is the team fourth off bottom. It was more about this is a local derby and we want to have the bragging rights. That seemed to be the build-up to this fixture.
Yeah, very much so. Again, coming off a fairly decent result against London Irish the week before, it was all about backing that up. And putting in a good shift, everyone getting involved and getting up for it, and again putting the sword to Bath there. And to be fair, we did that in certain parts. Obviously, there was a bit of a scrappy part either side of half time, but you could just see from the way the boys reacted to each individual score that they were up for more. And
the big broadcasters obviously gave man of the match to Steno, but I'm more interested in the match sponsors giving man of the match to Mr. Happy, as I'm going to dub him, Harry Williams. Who
he is the happiest man alive. Away from the set. He will not smile for a photo ever, but behind the scenes, he's as
is he bubbly and effervescent?
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, for those of you that don't know, we when we qualified for the last 8 in Europe, and there's a photo of everybody in the changing room ecstatic. Harry Williams is on the left-hand side, looking miserable. And on Saturday,
I don't think he's miserable, because I was at the press kind of call after the game and recorded this audio.
It went well today. I think what I've sort of noticed playing this is a lot of the time, you'll have one week you'll go well, and the next week, it'll be difficult. It's sort of just styles, and but I think everyone would always say the weight from the back five was incredible as well. Having Dave Ewers behind you is it's a big advantage. Like
for you, two games at home, 2 wins. It's a nice place to be, but no doubt you want to kick on from this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that no one wants to be a one-trick pony and sort of come out and have like a really big kind of energetic, emotional first, debut, and then sort of drop off after that and sort of fade into obscurity a little bit. So I definitely don't want that. I want to keep chugging on and hopefully get a few more games under my belt.
My view on it from watching him, I think he's just meaningful and he's deep.
Well, is he? You've been around the pro game for quite a bit, Salves. Salves now. We'll call you Salves. Is that all right?
Check this out. He's got Lockie, he's got Salves. I mean,
we're homies,
the big Australian stars are in with Bentos now.
Oh, mate, like you won't believe.
Like
in fact, before we get into having a bit more of a chat about Harry Williams, handshakes. Don Armand, Ollie Atkins.
Yeah, the little rooster.
Did the little rooster thing? Did they get a lot of hassle for that, or will that continue?
They did get a bit of abuse after it, because obviously after we usually score a try,
There's a certain. Well, we're drawing awareness to testicular cancer and what have you. I understand.
Indeed.
Yeah,
we should get a sponsor for that. Actually.
we probably should. I'll work on it.
But yeah, they decided to pull out something completely different, which made, I suppose, the montage video for the week.
Oh, of course, because Rob Baxter does when we win, when the team wins, he puts a montage together. Rob loves his cheesy 80s rock and roll.
Oh, okay.
There's some good music.
Are you still getting sort of Top Gun soundtrack and what have you? Danger Zone and what have you? Yeah.
There's a few others that are frequent sort of soundtracks for him, so it is quite enjoyable on a Wednesday or Thursday.
This is the thing, when you're 78 minutes in and the game's tied and you need to dig deep for motivation, if we win this, we're going to get a montage. and this can be, when you're looking about these percentile differences, that can be it. But Harry Williams.
Well, he just got a free feed, didn't he? Of course he's going to be happy.
Well, I want to see, for me, I think he's sort of what you want from a prop. He's a little bit grumpy, a little bit miserable, probably likes a dark corner, doesn't do much talking. Now, you spent a bit more time with him. Am I getting it about right? Is he in that mould, or?
He is. I mean, I face him in the change room, so it's not always Scott, to be fair, when we're all changing together and the rest. But look, he portrays someone that's dark and mysterious and all the rest. But deep down, he's just one of those, I suppose, one of those cuddly teddy bears.
Yeah, but it's a massive fill-up for the Chiefs to think that you've got Murray Lowe off with Scotland, you've got Thomas Francis off with Wales, you've got Alex Brown, who's a proven Premiership campaigner, and ostensibly fourth on the rank is Harry Williams, yet he comes in and gives a rock-solid performance. It was the clear-outs he led. In the absence of Julian Salvi, he led the tackle count and the clear-outs from tight head props.
On the man of the match subject, though, Stino was proper bossing that pitch on Sunday afternoon, and including getting very annoyed at one point when he missed, which I'm sure he would look back now if he was here and probably just smile as he does. But actually, at the time, he was proper in there, involved in that game.
And the big thing for me, we had Stino in as a guest, but one of the big things is his evolution, in that he used to be something of a Spanish gladiatorial bullfighter, in the fact that he'd get out of the way when someone big and nasty ran at him. He's now evolved into more of a speed bump, and in some occasions,
he's hanging off one of the players.
In some occasions, he puts some shots on. Fair play.
More from Salvi in a minute. Now some reaction from the Bath game, stadium reaction, Ewers and Williams talking here.
This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast.
It went well today. I think what I've sort of noticed playing this is a lot of the time, you'll have one week you'll go well, and the next week, it'll be difficult. It's sort of just styles, and but I think everyone would always say the weight from the back five was incredible as well. Having Dave Ewers behind you is it's a big advantage.
They definitely came at us and through their mauls and stuff, and showed their qualities there. When we didn't really handle it as well as we could have, I guess. But credit to them, they knew it was a strength of theirs, and they stuck to it.
The try blew me away. That was enough for me. And then they just got better and better. And then they kept us until the very last moment, sitting on the edges of our seat. And then the try down in the end. Wow, what a perfect day.
I enjoyed the game. I thought the Exeter Chiefs backs were superb today. Really did. But and I'm watching Bath, so I just thought watching the internationals over the weekend, I wish they all played like that. So.
Oh, it's brilliant. A really good game. It could have gone either way, really. But I'm glad Exeter won in the end.
Well, we were in this stadium here, so it's great, because most of the action was down in that right-hand corner, so it's great. Good result for Exeter.
Tweet your question at Exeter Chiefs. #Chiefs Podcast.
I was talking to you at the weekend about some of the England internationals and what they're actually like, and I was saying Dan Cole looks slightly frightening. And you were saying, no, he's nice.
Yeah, well, it must be these props because Harry Williams is like that. They look all frightening on the surface, but I mean, Dan Cole himself
They just want to be loved.
He's just a big polar bear. That was his nickname.
He doesn't look like a polar bear.
He was a polar bear. He gives hugs away. He comes up to you and puts his shoulder on you.
World Cup promo, wasn't it? Was it for Boots? Have a day in a
Yes, he was.
shoes.
Have you seen the, the ad?
I was like you. I thought, he's going to be really dry, but he was actually like a really bubbly, nice bloke.
He was dancing in the aisle and all the rest. He was
like a human caricature. It's like a human, only bigger.
What about the other Tigers in the England squad?
Ben Youngs is a larrikin in himself. He's actually got a book out of all the stupid things he's said over the years, and George Shooter and Tom Croft put it together and all the rest, and it's quite a fantastic read. Like, it's just some of the stuff that he's come out with and all the rest. It's on Sam Hill's sort of level,
honestly,
in some sense, yeah. But there's an actual
Sam Hill, a bit of a joker.
So I do the corporate hospitality rugby club, and I'll take the players and I'll say, right, we're going to have a few bits and bobs, and Sam will say, just take the mick out of me, Chris, because I don't know what to say. That's like his opening gambit, and then
bless him.
It just goes down from there.
Well, I mean, you look at some of the stories, and I've only been privy to a few of them, but the guy that jumped off the Red Bull spaceship and
went all that name, but another one, yeah.
He actually thought the guy jumped off the moon.
Oh,
like it goes to that level. He actually thought he jumped off the moon. He came into training one day and said, "Did you see the guy that jumped off the moon?" And we've all looked at each other and just gone, "Well, I wasn't there at the time, so I'm telling a story from what I've heard." But
is this Sam Hill?
These stories are never embellished, by the way.
Is this Sam Hill or Ben Youngs?
No, this is Sam Hill.
Oh my God! So he's taken over from Chris Budgeon.
Oh, was Chris Budgeon a bit like that?
Chris Budgeon was unbelievable. Chris Budgeon had his own lexicon. He'd just make words up. I mean, the prime one that still exists today is unreal. That's unreal.
Unreal.
But he used to like eating chili con korma, and it just went on and on.
But from the look of him on the field, when you stood in the crowd, you wouldn't be messing with him.
You would. You could confuse him. You'd just say 42, and he'd be there thinking about it.
But he'd walk through you.
Well, yeah, he would walk through you. That's the thing. It's like the predator that's got no gas. You just run. He'd never catch it. He's still playing as well.
What's he doing now? Is he still playing for the? Is it military?
Army. He's like an articulated lorry. He'll hit a scrum and just bend someone inside out.
I remember Chris Budgeon, and I mean, this is when I was back in Leicester, but we all decided, us and a whole bunch of guys from other teams throughout all decided to vote for him as RPA Player of the Year. Which you can't vote for anyone in your own team, but you can vote for everyone. And there was about 3 or 4 teams that all voted for Chris Budgeon because it's just a good value, and he got nominated. And it was like, oh my God, he actually made it that far.
The thing was, he had a cracking skill set, but he looked in the mirror and saw Johnny Wilkinson, and that was his problem. That he was 5'3", 28 stone prop. But he just kept coming in at first receiver, and he'd like push Stino out the way in training. "Oh, I got this, bro," and then just throw like a two-man skip pass and like, "Budge, what you doing? Just get the ball and run forward."
You're listening to the Exeter Chiefs podcast with Ryno and Bentos. Still to come.
Now, is there something conscious from you guys that you're giving to the squad?
And all of a sudden, they were line speeding us and getting in our faces and just making it a real sort of grudge match. As I was walking down, all I could hear was Tommy Waldrum in the background just yelling abuse at me.
Exeter Chiefs podcast.
What I want to talk about quickly is obviously we're happy, and we've talked about Chiefs returning to winning ways. Over the last couple of games at Irish and with Bath. How did the boys feel with the 2 back-to-back losses? What was the camp like? How did they stay focused?
Look, I mean, obviously the loss at home to Sarries was a bit of a blimp in our season to some extent. You never like to lose at home, and we had such good record over the last year and a half, I think it was. So it was a good run while it lasted, and I mean, it came down to a few decisions which could have gone either way. So it was one of those ones that, whilst we're disappointed, we knew it wasn't going to derail our season by any shot. The loss away at Sale was kind of a weird one. I think we had 75% of the ball, but we just couldn't convert when we were in the A zone, which sort of hurt us in the end. And I think Sale were 3 from 3 from being in their A zone and scoring points. And one came off a drop goal that hit the post and went straight into the hands.
Either way, we dealt with it.
Yeah. Exactly right, but went straight into the hands of their bloke who just had to run a bit and put the ball down.
The key point, and this comes back to when we mentioned Leicester, and this was a squad that's used to winning things, and all of a sudden, Exeter Chiefs, we're a good mid-table team. There's been a few signings, yourself, Parling, who are used to winning things. Now, is there something conscious from you guys that you're giving to the squad that's allowed this almost switch whereby we lose a couple of games? Now, in the past, Chiefs lose a couple of games. It's very difficult for them to come back and get back on the horse. Or we close out a real close game, and suddenly we're doing that. And I know I don't want to blow smoke at your backside, but is there something consciously that you guys are doing, or is it just in being there, having been used to doing these things?
Yeah, look, I don't think what Jeff and I bring is any different to any other player, but obviously we've been in those circumstances before, and maybe our experience to some extent is paying through come these grudge matches and these close encounters. And we look at that win at London Irish. I mean, we were behind and all the rest, but we clawed our way back into it. We knew we could. And we ground out a win there, which was important coming off the back of 2 losses. And a lot of teams, whilst London Irish aren't doing too well in this season,
that game had banana skin written on it.
Exactly right. And Majestic itself is a very hard place to go. It's a bigger pitch. And again, they get fired up for their home games as anyone else would. And that whole week we had prepared for a team that would have a soft defence.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they were line speeding us and getting in our faces and just making it a real tired sort of grudge match. And it came to a point where we just had to stick together and go through it, stay in our, I suppose, little bubble.
But how did you get through that? Because you're sent into battle. You've got your game plan. Game plan's not working. Is this the occasion where you yourself or Jeff or Tank, some of these boys that are used to being in, and this is not a derogatory term to the Chiefs of 2 or 3 years ago, but are used to winning these games? Are you grabbing hold of the team by the scruff, or is it just an evolution that's taken place?
Yeah, look, I mean, part of it is the team building as they do and getting that a bit more experience as the years progress and all the rest. But also, it's for Jeff, myself, Tommy, the guys who come in, it's maybe just some of the little things we say in and around the match and all the rest, and just getting people's head triggering in the right direction as well. I mean, it doesn't have to be much in essence, but these little things can help the guys that are a bit less experienced come through games and put us in the right result.
And I'll carry on with these 2 guys. Was there any say from Waldron in bringing you down here? I mean, I always love to hear how players get to Exeter Chiefs, how it works. Did he pick up the phone, ring you up and say, mate, you need to get down here? Or
is he a recruitment agent?
I don't know. It just seemed interesting because I know you guys get on well.
Yeah, no, we do.
On and off.
Exactly right. And we've got our families are close and all the rest. And it is, you do, with Waldron moving down here, it was always a phone call away just to say, mate, what's the environment like? How's it all going? Obviously, I can see that you're scoring every week and you're enjoying it all the rest. Well done with that. But it is. It was a phone call. Then Jeff obviously made the move, and obviously Jeff's the godfather of my child, so we're very tight that ways. And obviously he moved down, which sort of then persuaded my mind a bit to say, actually, maybe we do need to change up and all the rest.
So there's a close kind of off the pitch circle there of mates.
100%. And to some extent, you've got to go outside the bubble when you go to a new team as well, and obviously mingle with the rest of the guys. But there's always that close knit. Actually, we played together at Tigers. Yeah. Now we're together here, sort of thing. So we do have that understanding of how each other plays and all the rest.
So there is a bit more to it other than the fact you just played at one club, played at this.
No, exactly right. There's a tight knit group there.
How do you go about you mentioned the bubble? How do you go about breaking out of the bubble? So do you how do you go about that? Because moving around, which is what you guys do, is quite hard to build networks and friends. How does that manifest for you and your families?
Well, it's like anything. It's easy for the players because most of the time you see each other every day. And the biggest, I suppose, difference I saw with coming to Chiefs was the first thing I actually did with the club, which was spend 3 days away getting to know each other.
Cool.
Which was absolutely amazing. I almost missed a plane.
Honestly, on the way back or on
the way there, I forgot my passport.
First day with the club, wasn't it? So
first day with the club, I forgot my passport.
Team building with the club, you arrive at Exeter Chiefs at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
You do your rudimentary tests, height, weight, a few bits and bobs. Right, we're coming back tomorrow morning. We're all going on a plane. We're going somewhere in the Mediterranean. We're going to get drunk and make friends.
Nice.
It's lovely. It's the first time I've ever experienced it. But
and your
it's
experience.
the first thing. I get on a team bus, and we're flying from Birmingham, and we're halfway up the highway.
Oh no!
And I had to walk up the front of the bus and tell Rob that I'd forgotten my passport. Which didn't go down, which wasn't too bad, but as I was walking down, all I could hear was Tommy Waldrum in the background just yelling abuse at me, as a good friend would. And then actually everyone saw that Tommy was doing it, and then everyone else jumped on the bandwagon.
As you're trying to tell your new boss.
And I walk up and I see Parksy laughing at me because he's obviously heard the banter coming from behind, and I turned to Rob and said, "Mate, I've forgotten my passport."
Oh.
Which he just goes, you get off this bus, you get on the academy bus, and you go back and find it. Lucky enough, it was in the side of my car. I don't know how I did, but I must have been wearing some tight jeans or some loose fitting jeans. And as I went to sit down in my car, it just slipped down the side of the car.
So you made the plane?
We did make the plane. We had to go an hour back, grab a passport, jump back on the academy bus, and then back up to Birmingham. But it was quite good because whilst the main bus, everyone was happy and starting to party and all the rest, the academy bus, they were all asleep. So I had a great couple of hours of kip and all the rest. It was
quite
lovely.
nice, actually,
exactly right.
Calm before the storm.
And this was about 2:00 in the morning, so on the way to Birmingham for a 6:00 flight. So it was lovely.
This is the other thing. There seems to be a theme coming into the Exeter Chiefs. You're an Australian. Lachlan Turner's an Australian.
Oh, your new mate.
Lockie.
Yeah,
We've got
a few more coming.
We've got a few more coming.
Yeah.
Have you had any party in that? Is this just because the Aussie guys seem to fit the Exeter Chiefs? You know, Dean Mumm.
I think he's the new recruitment officer. To be fair.
He is, but I think it seems to be.
Is he off doing a job back home?
He's just selling recruiting.
I think culturally, the Exeter Chiefs seems to match the Australian disposition.
100%. It's probably the closest environment to what you'll find in Australia, to be fair, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of the beach being
you will
close.
enjoy your time.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll enjoy your time on the field. You'll enjoy your time off the field.
Yeah,
and it's not the archetypal English rugby is everything. When I go home, I'm having my protein shake. I'm going to bed. I'm never going to go out and have a drink. Whereas actually at Chiefs, there is a little bit of leeway to say if you want to go have a drink.
It's a lot more relaxed environment, which I think players appreciate a lot more. We're treated not as schoolboys, but treated as men that know what's right and what's not.
You're listening to the Exeter Chiefs podcast with Ryno and Bentos. Still to come.
Now, for me, he's got 8 tries in 12 games. I want to be happy that Jack Knowles scoring tries.
In that whiny voice. I know what you're doing, mate. You got bloody ice cream underneath there. What the Playing in front of 80,000 people at Twickenham is always special.
Exeter Chiefs podcast.
Let's talk England then, and let's start by talking about Jack Nowell. We don't want to talk about the tattoos and the pictures this week.
No,
we got to talk about his tackle, don't we?
Oh, no. We do.
And the occasion when he bundled the player into touch.
Fantastic.
Sorry. But don't you think? And this is the bugbear for me for the Six Nations, that we're all happy that Jack Nowell made a tackle. Now, for me, he's got 8 tries in 12 games. I want to be happy that Jack Nowell's scoring tries.
Yeah, but that tackle was very good.
It was, but the highlight of a game is a tackle. The Six Nations. What's your take on the Six Nations, Sals?
Well, my highlights are usually tackles, so I'll be impressed with that tackle.
But with regards to Six Nations as a whole, do you think that it's a bit doer? It's a bit bleh?
Well, if you're comparing it to Super Rugby at the moment, which both were being aired on TV at the same time, or roughly around the same time, hands down, I would have been watching the Super Rugby.
Yeah, I'm just concerned, and you can join in on this, Ryno. I'm concerned that at the moment, Six Nations is more about going into the office on Monday and getting Di or whoever it is, the Welshman or the Scotsman, and just having a Mickey-taking session, as opposed to the actual event, the actual rugby. The I-Ties and the Scots are trying to have a go, but it's just I'm just underwhelmed by it. By the actual rugby, massively underwhelmed by it.
That's quite surprising, because I'm finding it very exciting to watch.
Oh, for me,
it's because England's winning.
Yeah, that's because England's
winning. All right, okay.
But
fair weather fan.
No, but this for me is the worry, and it's almost like seeing a load of AK-47s being used as clubs. You want to see the guns getting fired. Do you like that one? I like
Yeah,
that.
I pulled that out.
Yeah.
Bentos has got the gags
He's
tonight.
just got that.
Should we talk about Eddie Jones then? Because you've come across him in your career once or twice, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I've been fortunate enough being coached by him back when I was
Has
a bit
he
younger.
always
and all
had
the
that
rest.
slur in sort of, I just want to be Eddie Jones?
Oh, his voice doesn't change, mate. He used to. I remember we were back home in one of these Wallaby camps. Matt Dunning, who was again one of those props, he used to hide ice cream underneath salad and all the rest, trying to get away with that. And Eddie Jones knew what he was doing. He goes, "Mate, look here. I know you." In that whiny voice, I know what you're doing, mate. You got bloody ice cream underneath there. What obviously, other coarse language involved and all the rest, but I know what you're doing, mate. Always like that. So it was. It was quite funny, to be fair. But he's always been a hard taskmaster. He's very intense, short and sharp sort of sessions and all the rest. And to be fair, I think he'll be brilliant for England.
Why do you think he is so good? Because he's got a good track record.
Well,
what is it about him?
He just doesn't put up with the nonsense, to be fair. I mean, he likes to, I suppose, banter the press in some sense too.
That press conference yesterday was brilliant.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw the stuff last week with him winding them up.
He put himself on a band in here, but obviously not if he's backing out. But he just throws lines out there. He just wants someone to take the bait.
They had a go at him about Mike Brown. Do you think Mike Brown deliberately kicked him? And he said, well, I don't have an opinion on that. And they said, well, why not? And he said, because if I give you opinion, the headlines are going to say Eddie Jones condones kicking people in the head, so I'm not going to comment on that. And he sort of toed and froed with the presser, and it was actually fair play. He did it quite well. Because it is difficult now. The headline writers want controversy.
But that foot was going quite fast, though, wasn't it?
Well, I think I'll give my thoughts on it. I thought it was fine. I think the ball's on the floor, rucking. You can use your feet in a ruck, and that's what Mike Brown was doing. Simple as that.
But to be fair, Eddie Jones will want to have that little edge with most.
I think the terminology we use is mongrel, is it not?
Yeah, 100%. A bit of mongrel, a bit of edge there, just to play with the referee enough, but don't put him offside.
It's the same group of players that fell out of the World Cup with a whimper. Suddenly they've got a bit of dog about them.
Rejuvenated, exactly right, and just going for broke. And you see the best out of Billy Vunipola, who's playing out of his
fair
skin
play. He's excited,
and he's enjoyable to watch because he's just so hard to stop, and he's playing brilliant rugby at the moment.
And you put Dave Ewers next to him.
Could you imagine those two? That'd be good.
That would be, And
then potentially like Nathan Hughes in 6 months. Those three altogether would be.
That's a world class back row.
And we're hearing that Slady's getting better.
He's running. He did a AST test on the weekend and all the rest to get back into shape and all the rest. So he's not too far away, I don't think. Hopefully a couple of weeks.
Must be chomping at the bit to get back out.
100%. I think he'll be unfortunate in terms of he'll miss the Six Nations and all of that. But
will he be ready for Wasps next month?
Heineken, as in Challenge Cup.
No,
definitely.
He was on corporate on Saturday. He said he's aiming for either Newcastle or Northampton. So the 12th or the 20th of this month.
So that'll give him probably 3 or so games to get ready for that big one.
And now some questions from the fans who were at the Bath game. The first person I bumped into was actually Max Bodilli's dad. Here it is.
Why did you come to Exeter to play here, and how do you think they've been successful since they've been in the Premiership?
Well, it's such a tight-knit group. It's speaking with Rob, it's an environment based on pure honesty. It's having the trust in the coaches, trust in the players around you, and it's probably the first place that I've been to that is the sole focus within the environment, which makes it so successful. And you've just seen how far they've come from 5 years ago or 6 years ago when they were in the championship to where they are now, and to where we are in terms of pushing for that leaderboard.
My name is Tom Record, and the question is, what is your best moment in rugby?
I mean, any time that you win a premiership is always special and all the rest. Lucky enough to win the premiership in 2013 with Leicester, which always is something that will always be in my memory. Playing in front of 82,000 people at Twickenham is always special. Was part of the Bromley squad that won the Super 14 in 2004, and just being being a part of that winning team. I mean, it had a whole bunch of legends of the game, who played for Australia and all of that, and to be part of that was pretty good.
Another question for you.
How strict is the training regime here at Exeter, and what about your diet?
Well, I'm shredded, that's for sure. No, it's fairly strict. Mark Twiggs, who's the S&C coach here, runs a very strict regime. Lunch and breakfast is provided at the club, and it's all based on what he thinks the best nutrients for us to have in our system.
Does that include all the coffees I see you consuming at David Lloyd?
Well, those are a bit of unknown to a certain extent, but they are wary of us always going across in between sessions and picking up a flat white or the rest.
And one final question from the stands.
For Julian, a question. I'd like to say, what does he feel the difference is between the Exeter culture and the Leicester Tigers culture?
Yeah, well, I suppose Leicester itself is a very intense environment based on the fact that they're just used to winning and being in finals and all the rest, and that's run by Richard Cockrell, who makes sure that it's as fierce as it comes, and the brutal Tuesday sessions that most people hear about is true to a certain extent, though it has died down a bit. Instead, or if we compare that to down here, it's a bit more of a relaxed environment, but I suppose in some sense we're treated like men, and it's based on a honest environment in terms of looking at each other and making sure that we put in the best performance and all the rest, so that we work well as a team together.
And that concludes another podcast for the Exeter Chiefs. If you have a question, or you want to get involved, or you want to be a guest and ask questions yourself, hashtag Chiefs Podcast at Exeter Chiefs on Twitter. I've got a challenge for Salvi, because Bentos is meant to be the director of getting guests, but he got Steno. He didn't get one for the second one, and I've had to chase poor Julian to come on. So we want to set you the challenge, Julian, and give you the monkey. Can you get us the next guest? Who do you nominate to do this, and can you influence through your on-field wisdom?
We'll get Tankin.
Jeff would love a bit of radio time, wouldn't he?
All right, we'll get Jeff or Tank.
He'd probably sing for you too.
Do you reckon? You can sing Phantom of the Opera.
I'm not going to sing Phantom.
Pre-season, welcome to the club. He's there. 600 people in the room. He sings Phantom of the Opera brilliantly.
So do you reckon you can get us a guest?
Yes, 100%.
Mate, we've had two now. We're past the tipping point. We haven't got a problem.
People are going to jump all over this.
Oh, mate, now they've seen staff like Salvi, they'll want to be there. They'll be like, why am I not getting invited?
Your behind-the-scenes access to Sandy Park with Ryno and Bentos. Thank you! The Exeter Chiefs Podcast.